Hello, I'm Karla Holmboe. I'm an associate professor at the School of Psychological Science at the University of Bristol. I'm a developmental psychologist and also the director of the Bristol University Baby Lab, also known as Bubble. So first, I'd like to acknowledge my team and collaborators. Here you can see some of them. So at Bubble, we do team science, and without these very talented and hardworking people, there really wouldn't be much research happening in the lab. And this is what our research looks like in practice. So most of our research focuses on the early development of attention and executive functions, and we use a mix of structured games that we call tasks, alongside recordings of eye movements, physiology, such as heart rate, and also brain activation. This is all really good fun, but it also takes a lot of time and effort. So each test session takes about an hour and 15 minutes, and we need 2 testers for each session. We run about 15 sessions per week, so as you can imagine, the Baby Lab is pretty much always busy. But the work doesn't stop with data collection. So for most tasks, we also need to code babies' behavior from video recordings. And we do this to make sure that we have an accurate record of our data. Sometimes this is easy when we have a nice and clear responses, such as this example.
Good job. There he is. Good morning, Miss Elephant.
Okay, so in most cases, our iPad will accurately record the responses, but we still code the video recording to make sure that we didn't have any ambiguous responses. But coding can also be very tricky depending on the baby's engagement and response style. So in this second video, you can see that these responses will be much harder to code.
That's very good. There's a happy face. Yes. Good morning. There's a happy face. So now.
Okay, so I hope that this illustrates the enormous amount of work that goes into research with babies. And when we finally have finished recruiting, testing, and coding all our sessions, we are of course really excited to dive into the data set. There's usually also a sense of pressure to publish results as fast as possible, especially for early career researchers. But there are risks associated with diving straight into the data. In particular, when we have a large number of variables, there's a risk of engaging in p-hacking or hypothesizing after results are known. Even if this is completely unintentional, it's something that can happen, for example, when we look at relationships between a large number of variables. And we may even end up utterly confusing ourselves by just running loads of analyses and getting results we don't really understand. And this is why over the last 6 years, me and my team have engaged extensively in pre-registration. And I would like to say a bit about why I have found pre-registration particularly helpful in my work. So here you can see a few screenshots of one of our recent pre-registrations. And a pre-registration is basically a document where we describe our study in detail. We specify our hypotheses, what measures we'll use, our exclusion criteria, and so on. And we do all that before looking at the data. Admittedly, this is often quite a lot of work. It is an extensive document, but in my experience, it's all worth it. And this is because by committing to this plan from the outset, we must stick to what we said we would do. So we limit our human bias towards seeing what we want to see. And I want to really highlight that pre-registration brings many benefits, not just to sort of science as a whole, but to us as researchers. So speaking for myself, I found that pre-registration has forced me to accept my results as they are, even when they're disappointing. And I think many of us have experienced at some point in our career to get a disappointing set of results. So if my pre-registered predictions are not confirmed, my data is telling me that what I thought to be the case is just not how things are. In the resulting paper, I can speculate on why I didn't find what I expected, but the whole process is laid transparently out. And therefore, pre-registration prevents me from fooling myself as well as others. And in the long term, it actually makes the research process more rewarding because I can trust my own findings more. So, if you haven't tried it yet, I really recommend pre-registering your next study or your next analysis, because you can actually pre-register even when you've collected the data, as long as you haven't peeked into the data set yet. You can start small, for example, with a template from the Open Science Framework. As an extra perk, you'll also find that much of your methods section and results sections are already done when it comes to writing up papers, because you've already written most of that in your pre-registration. So from that perspective, pre-registration doesn't even take that much extra time. Okay, so thanks for listening. There are other aspects of our open science practice at Bubble that I would have liked to tell you about, but in the interest of time, I will stop here. And I'm of course very happy to take any questions you might have. Thank you.